So I first heard about the Freedom Group last fall from Catalina and Kelly. They had gave us a little snippet about what it was about, and I was very intrigued and interested, and honestly just wanted to be part of a group with influence at that time. But little did I know how much I really needed it in my life, and it came at the perfect time. I had really been struggling a lot and was in a very kind of dark place at that time. And one of the themes in the Freedom Group was surrender. And I didn't know how much I was not doing that in my life and how little I was surrendering my life to God. And one um, one area in particular that I was not doing that was in my journey with infertility. It has been something that I had been struggling with for the past 5 years at that point, and it was such a difficult journey. And it didn't start out difficult, it started out as just a lot of unknowns and unsure of the changes and what was going on with me, and it eventually turned into an infertility diagnosis. And there was many months and years of just feelings of failure and shame and hopelessness and discouragement and just sadness, because I didn't understand and I didn't know why it was happening and when it was going to happen that we'd be able to have another child. And I didn't feel like anybody could understand what I was going through, even though so many people do. And I just kept it so close to my heart, and I didn't share it with a lot of people except for family and some friends. And what I didn't want it to do, and exactly what it did do, was it created a lot of anger and bitterness and discourage in my heart. And I felt that I needed to control my fertility, which is impossible. You can't control it. I had absolutely no control over what was going to happen and when it was going to happen and if it was going to happen. But I think my life felt so out of control. I felt like I needed to control something, and that the reason it wasn't happening was because of me and not because of whatever reason it wasn't. And the biggest thing that I left out of that was God in so many moments. And it was so hard for me to just let it go and just say, God, you got this. You know what's going to happen. You know when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, how. And just giving that total freedom of surrendering that to Him was something that was so hard for me. And when I was in the Freedom Group, and we touched on so many different topics that related very closely to infertility, but also so many different aspects of my life, I realized that that was something I was not doing. And for the first time in a long time, I was able to do that, just completely surrender everything up to God and just trust Him and just say, whatever happens, you're in control, like you've got this, and I felt like utter peace and just hope again that I hadn't felt in so long. And another pretty amazing thing was that I felt like the Holy Spirit really was present, not only in my life, but in my husband's and my daughter's and just our home. And it was pretty amazing to see all the different areas that the Holy Spirit was just impacting and how I could just so deeply feel Him. And it was hard, and it still is hard. And I was very vulnerable in those groups, which was also very challenging, but it was such an amazing thing for me. And I felt like it also just brought up so many great conversations between my husband Joe and I and other family members and just people in our church and in my community. And it helped me to just be more open about the things that I was struggling with and know that I can't take them alone. I can't do it alone. I can only do it with God, and how amazing the power of prayer is. And it just was such a great time. And I mean, great in that it was, there were so many good parts about it, but it was equally challenging as well, but in a good way. And at the very end of the group, on our very last session, was probably one of my favorites because I was able to share with the group that I was pregnant. And I got to share that I was doing fertility treatments, and I got to share that they had worked, and that Jesus had just blessed us with our sweet baby Jack, who's such a miracle. And it was so amazing.